Alright guys, how you all doing? We've got a 20-minute game on the board. My opponent's rated almost bang on 1000. And we have the French. So I've started with e4, my opponent's played e6. So I will respond. No, I'm going to play me wing gambit variation. I keep forgetting to do this. It's so tempting just to push d4. Grab the center. What is that? Okay, this is weird because, I mean, yes, it's a prophylactic move, right? But he's trying to stop my knight from going to that square, maybe even my bishop from going to that square, but he's not developing. So there's an opening rule here. Only make pawn moves that liberate your pieces, that enable your pieces to enter the game, at least in the opening first moves. I mean, this is move 2, and he's pushed h6. Now, the point about h6 is, it doesn't release this bishop, doesn't release this rook. It takes one option away from this knight, so now the knight's only got there and there to go to, right? I mean, it's not the best square for a knight anyway. The knight wants to come to f6, but anyway, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to grab the center with d4. An absolutely shocking day yesterday. Lost about 3 games to lower rated opponents and dumped a load of rating points. I went from almost 1520 down to 1486. And I can claw 1 point back if I win this game. Wow, okay. And this is now a kind of Sicilian that we've gone into. It's like the open Sicilian, right? e4, c5, knight to f3, and he'd normally play knight c6. So I think c3 here looks very normal. That would be the natural looking move. c3 so that if he takes, I recapture with my c-pawn and I maintain my pawn center. I don't want to take because that simply allows his bishop to come out for free, and that makes my position worse. I would also like, I mean, I can recapture with the knight, but I kind of like c3, and I like the fact that it opens up a line for my queen. It does take away the natural development square for my queen's knight though, because my queen's knight normally wants to go to c3. So he's probably going to find his way here, which means this bishop needs to make progress and come out into the board. This is another poor move here. Again, look at his bishops, right? This bishop still tied up. This bishop, he's had 4 moves. He's moved 1, 2, 3, 4 pawns. Okay? And the only piece that he's freed up, well, queen and bishop with the movement of the e-pawn. Whereas I've already got 1 piece developed. This bishop can come out, this bishop can come out, my queen can come out. You know, that's the difference. Okay, now, thinking my bishop, bring my bishop out first. I also want to bring out my dark square bishop so that my knight can enter the game, but I think bishop out here looks okay. Question is d3 or c4. Let's put on d3. So this pawn actually wasn't defended previously, so now it's defended once. Now I'm getting ready to castle. And my opponent, I mean already, we're only 4 moves into the game, right? But already I'm starting to think about strategy. Because this king is stuck, right? All the kingside minor pieces are still in place. Again, look, another pawn move. 5 moves he's had, 5 pawn moves. So I don't think I'm going to hesitate. Should I just capture on d5? I want him to take back with the pawn, but what if he takes back with the queen? So I don't think there's any point to my initiating this exchange, because if I just invite his queen out, right? Now, but back to what I was saying, the point about the strategy is he's at least 3 moves away from castling, right? Knight comes out, bishop comes out, castles. So, but in that time, can I already try and open up the middle of the board somehow. I mean, I've got a check there with the queen, but that just bishop blocks, or even b5, so that's pointless. I think I'm just going to castle now and allow him to initiate the exchange if he wants to. Oh, good lord. Oh, lordy, lordy. He's going for some kind of record here, I think. Okay, I'm going to just put my rook on e1. If takes, I can take back with the bishop. That then attacks this rook. Bishop could also go here, notice, because this pawn would be pinned by my rook. This is why you develop. You develop so that you can get your king safe. Oh, he's moved a piece. He's moved a piece. Move 7. Oh. Now, it's tempting here to play e5, but I don't think I want to lock up the board. See, there we're going to have a kind of a deadlock situation if I push my pawn. Which he could break, or he could just make it worse by pushing c4. See, and then we've got a horrible locked up centre, which is very bad for bishops. So, I'm inclined... I'm going to capture. I want to open things up. He can't take with a pawn, it's illegal, right? So he has to take with a knight or the queen. Now if he took the queen, what I'd like to play is bishop to there, skewering the queen against the rook. But he's taken with the knight. Okay. Now I'm kind of tempted to keep going. I mean, that's one idea, but then his bishop's just going to come flying out and then he's ready to castle, so doesn't help me. Doesn't serve the cause, does it? But I do want to open up the centre of the board. If I can prevent him from castling at all, then that'd be super duper Mini Cooper, wouldn't it? I mean, that's an idea. Attack the knight. If he takes. Then I'm attacking the knight. Also does give a square for my knight. Let's try it. I'll keep him on his heels if I can. Keep him having to react to stuff. My king is already in safety. His king ain't. If that pawn goes, I've still got this queen check, but I don't see any value to it. Oh, what? What the huh? What the hey? Now, d5, that's just... Okay, alright, calm down. Let's all be adult about this. Just didn't expect it, that's all. Okay, thoughts, takes? No, then he's got 2 attackers on my bishop and only 1 defender. Push push here. Push. Pawn can't take, queen can't take, yeah? If he wants to take out my bishop, that's fine, using his only... Look where this knight has come, okay? So the knight has just made 3 moves. It's come knight f6, knight takes d5, and then he's come here. So he's only developed 1 piece, right? Another opening principle here, bent or broken, you decide. Do not move a developed piece a subsequent time unless there's a darn good reason. See, my eyes are just fixed on this king right now, and then of course I have to scan the whole board because I'm not trying to be a dumbass today. Yesterday was dumbass day. Today it's not dumbass day anymore. Alright, now look, I am castle, that's worth 2 points in development, and I have 2 pieces out on the board. 4. Dumbass over here has only got 1 developed, and before he made that move he had 0. Alright, now, of course, should I now be... I've actually got a barrage against this, so if takes, queen takes with check. That's too tempting, isn't it? I mean, I also want to come gobbling in with this guy and do a bit of Pac-Man there. I win a pawn, yeah? But then he is going to drop his bishop here. I don't even have to recapture that straight away. I might not even recapture it straight away. Might be more important to come here. And then if bishop takes there, then I can recapture. Oh, then he just drops his bishop back and blocks. Okay. So he's managed to castle. Boo hiss. Now, he has played, remember this he played that on the second move. Because he don't know what he's doing. And that is actually a target. So I've got the idea of bishop takes that pawn, and if pawn takes, king e is out in the open. Now if I get my queen on here, I can take that pawn for free because this pawn would be pinned and cannot recapture. So that would be a plan. Don't want to take that because it's just going to get a bishop in my face, aren't I? Can I get my queen to here? I should also be thinking about developing as well. So maybe just knight c3 now. Protect this pawn, yeah? Don't neglect development. Right, your default in the opening should be to develop your pieces and gain control of the board so that later on in the game you can launch a killer attack. So, because my pieces are not all off the back rank, I still have a bishop, right? My only development move now is to do something with this bish. Okay. Right, so now he's got two attackers on this. So yeah, basically, all other things being equal, if there's nothing pressing, either pressing opportunity or a pressing threat, then you should go back to your default, which in the opening is to develop your pieces. Develop your pieces, so get all your pieces off the back. Now that's simply a blunder, right? Oh, he's resigned. Okay, let's try a rematch. See if he wants to do a rematch. Yeah, so basically development means getting your pieces off the back rank, all apart from your king and your rooks. Normally minor pieces first, and out of those normally knights first, right? Knights, then bishops, normally then queen, and make sure you castle and connect your rooks. Now you can do those moves in any order. Right, we have e4, let's play e5. It's nice. It's nice when you get a player who wants a rematch. Oh, those Russians. Because he's from Russia, isn't it? That's the joke, yeah? Russia. All right, the bishop's game. Bishop's opening. What do we do here? Knight there. Knight there attacks the pawn. It's a move. It attacks the pawn. It's doing something. I'm developing a piece. Okay, full of surprises. Okay, now the first thing I see is knight, knight, knight. Okay, so jump 1 here. Jump 2 goes to here and attacks queenie, but also attacks c2. And if I get my knight to c2, yay, we're in the money. Now, you don't normally want to develop your queen too early. And one of the reasons you don't want to develop your queen too early is because your opponent can be a git and come after you and try and harass your queen. This knight is now covering this square, so that's a decent move. So now, you see my knights are out. Bishop there looks good. So we're kind of fight for d4. You'll see this when you see the videos by like really good chess players, your masters, FIDE masters, national masters, international masters, grandmasters, often talk about fighting for the control of a square. So right now, d4 is kind of a key square. White still has a pawn here, right, that wants to come here. It's natural. You want to control the centre of the board. The centre of the board are the squares where you have more flexibility and more vision and more movement and all that good stuff. Now he's playing very well. I can bring my knight in here with an attack there, you see. Now, this is a case in point. I have not completed development. I haven't castled. I haven't got my queen off the back rank, and I haven't got my light squared bishop off the back rank, okay? However, there's an opportunity here. There's some low dangling fruit. Okay, and now he's responded. Right, fair enough. Okay, now. Now, I'd like to play d5, but he's got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 pieces controlling that square. So, maybe d6 is the right move. d6, and then I can bring my bishop out there, yeah. Let's do that now. Berlin defense. Don't think this is the same as the Berlin from the Re Lopez. I'm not sure. Don't really know either of these. Okay, so this is a kick. So he's now kicking my knight by moving his pawn there. So he's saying, go on knight, move. Get out of it. Get out of it. I'm just going to come back. It's a nice flexible square. Reasons the knights like these squares are, well, here's one reason. They control the centre. This is the centre. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. These are the best squares on the board. If you imagine the board is like a kind of a mountain, yeah? The centre is the mountain, right? That's the high ground. That's where you get the best attacks from. That's where you get the best visibility from, right? Now, around those, you've got these ones, okay? And this is like the foothills of the mountain. And these are good squares. And as I've said many times before, a knight on any of these squares can reach its maximum 8 squares, as long as it's in this middle bit. Okay, now he's gone back to old habits, look. h3 again. Now, I know what he's thinking. He's thinking he wants to stop that, okay? But in general, what you need to do is you need to say, okay, well, look, if the bishop comes out there, then I move my queen. How bad is that? But this is actually potentially weakening. Okay, now then, I'm going to play my bishop out, and I'm going to play it to here. I'm actually tempting him to trade. Now, this does a couple of things. One is, you see this pawn here, this guy, he gets to move inwards towards the centre of the board. And that gives me 2 e-pawns and a d-pawn. And then, if I push d5, and fellow me lad here captures, and I can capture now with a spare e-pawn, which was my f-pawn. And I maintain 2 central pawns. Does that make sense? Yeah? So if taketh, taketh, pusheth, taketh, taketh, I've got 2 pawns in the middle. Aha! You see, he's run away like the scurvy dog he is. Now then. Now my knight is pinned. So I'm going to castle and break the pin. Now my knight is not pinned. And again, you see, move 9. He's not castled, is he? He's not castled. 1,000 rated players, take note. Okay? Don't get involved in half-assed tactics in the middle of the board. Now, this is a half-assed tactic. He's got a piece that he's already moved twice? Yeah, twice, right? So it's come out there, whatever it's, I don't know. Okay. But with him attacking my king here, it's not really an attack, right? He's come out with a pin. Hooray! I spotted a pin, right? But all he's done is said, he's prompted me to use my move 9 to castle my king, get my king to safety, right? He's wasted his move 9 by putting his bishop there when, you know, I mean, he could have traded bishops. He could have just left it where it was. Yeah, particularly if he hadn't done this. He's got this addiction to moving his edge pawns. Anyway, so he's now pushed d3, which is reasonable. Okay, why did he play that move? Well, he might be thinking about this himself. Am I worried? Nah, don't think so. Don't think so, mate. So one idea is this, but that's quite slow. I mean, it's 2 moves, and then what happens? A bishop goes back here. I trade bishops. He captures with the c-pawn towards the outside. That's okay, but it's 3 moves, right? This is move 10. Move 10 of the game. 3 whole moves. There's a lot of moves. Really is a lot of moves. So, okay. Are we concerned about bishop g5 pinning this knight on this queen? You see, here's the thing. If the bishop comes out here, then I can play h6 and say, all right then, bish, what's your plan? But then he might take, and if I capture with my queen, queen takes, pawn takes, and I have exposed my king. So because his queen's there, and because I have completed development, right, and I am ahead, I'm going to play the prophylactic h6. Okay. Now he played these moves, and he did the exact same in his last game, but he played those prematurely. I think I can make a case that this is better. All right. Okay. Okay. Back to old ways. Now, a beginner will say, oh no, my bishop is under attack, I must move my bishop, right? Perfectly logical. However, there are lots of things you can do when you're under attack, and one of them is a counterattack. So I'm going to play knight d4. I'm attacker this a knight, I'm attacker this a queen. Right, so he is very likely to capture with his knight. And if he captures with this knight, I capture with my bishop, and my bishop is now out of trouble. Right? And what's more, my bishop is looking at this rook, my bishop is also looking at this square. What's so important about this square? The king wants to go there. The king's not going this way. Oh no, no. King can't go that way because he's buggered up his pawns, hasn't he? Look, he's got pawns all scattered about. My pawn's nice and tight. Nice and tidy, that's what you want. Yeah? See? And now this knight is under attack, so he's going to have to play his bishop out to defend the knight, because the knight's also pinned. Right? Yeah, exactly. Ah, told you. Okay, now the phases of the game start to unravel. You know, every page that you turn, the game changes. All right. And how do we read the board? Well, number 1, black's castled. Black has practically completed development. Might want to lift the queen off the back of ranker. Doesn't matter too much, okay? What do we think from white? Let's just flip the board. Not a bad thing to do. From white, move 13, still not castled. So the king's still in the middle of the board, right? What's more, he's done a lot of pawn activity. Don't know why I did that. Why did I do that? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pawns have moved from their starting blocks, leaving only 3 remaining. This knight is pinned, cannot move. Or else the rook will fall. Okay. This knight's in a good position. I still have the bishop pair. Now it feels like it might be time to push some pawns up, you see. Now what I would like to do is I would like to annoy white and prevent him from castling. I don't see an immediate way to do that, but I think pressing this bishop up the board, if I can push the bishop back to here, then I can trade bishops. He takes back with the c-pawn and we have an open c-file. I think that looks quite good. So I'm going to stop pushing up. Let's see what laughing boy here wants to do. This bishop is strong. Right. My kung fu is powerful. Aha! Played that quite quick, didn't he? See, every time a pawn moves, another angel gets his wings. No, wrong movie. every time a pawn moves, a pawn was here, right? And it was defending here and here. Now it's moved to here, and now it's defending here and here, but it ain't defending there and there anymore. Therefore, I put it to you that my queen can go to a5, and now, suddenly, I have two attackers on the knight. Haha. Two attackers. Knight's still pinned. If the knight should move... Actually, if the knight should move, I have to move my queen because there's a discovered attack by the bishop that is defended. Haha. So that was an idea, but I don't think it's the best idea I've ever had, because knight moves and then the queen is being attacked by a lower value piece that is itself defended. Not good. All right. How about this then? Takes, bishop takes. A6, bishop's under attack. Yeah. That's all right though. I think it's all right though. I've also like queen to c7 might be a better idea. Aha, you see? Yeah, queen c7, better idea. Queen c7, let's just play it. All right, queen c7, I'm attacking the pinned knight twice. Yeah? And why is this knight in trouble? Oh no, where's my b-pawn? She's been throwing pawns around far too easily. Gay abandon. Okay, and now... I'm not sure what I want to do. I'm half inclined to allow him to capture there. Then I take back with my f-pawn, freeing up my rook. I think it's alright though. I'm just going to push a6 with ideas of maybe b5 and just put the question to this bishop. If he wants to take there, then great. Then I've got ideas of discovered attacks on the queen. Like for example, my knight can come here with yet another attacker on the c3. You see how it's oh, hello, what? Hello, yep, what? Okay, I'm playing b5, not even giving that too much thought because I've done too much of this and not enough of that. Okay. He's captured for sure. I have two attackers on this knight. I think I can just take. But do I take with the bishop? I mean, yeah, yes, he's attacking my rook. Yeah, we all see that. Okay, option one. Rook a to c8, continuing this assault down there, right? See, not castled. Bad news. Option two, bishop takes. That's what he's saying. He's thinking, okay, so what he's done is he's broken the pin on the knight. Okay, so if I take that, he could take back. Fair enough, then I might move my rook, right? I take that, he takes my rook, I take his bishop with check, king has to move, yeah? Now, two minor pieces are better than a rook, in general. So, this is all right. Now his king has to recapture, okay? And now, I can take the bishop back, yeah? So now, what's the situation? I've got a rook, bishop and a knight. Laughing boy has got two rooks. So I'm slightly up in material by 1 point. But having three pieces in addition to king and queen against his two could give me more flexibility, particularly at this point in the game where there are still pawns around. If the board was clear of pawns, maybe you might argue his rooks would become more useful then. Also notice, he's now been forced to move his king. He's moved his king, so he can't castle anymore. Got queen a5 check, it's an idea. Want to make good use of my knight. I've got 4 pawns on dark. Ooh, what? I'm just going to play this. fork on king and pawn. So what's he thinking? Does he want to play that? I'm sure he does. I'd love to do that and win the queen, but I can't because queen will take my bishop now. Okay, ideas. Yes, there's a pawn. Right? Yes, it's free stuff. But I've got 8 minutes. He's getting a lot of pawns and light squares, which makes my bishop worse. I think the right thing to do is to break fourth. Okay. Now, when you're in the middle game, generally your default should be, I want to improve my pieces, improve my position, build up to an attack, and attack if suitable. Okay, so he's taken that now. That's fine because I've got pawn takes attacking the queen, right? My attack is what Levy-Rosman calls danger levels, right? My attack is bigger than your attack, okay? And now what we've done, you see, this is the difference, right? So here I'm thinking, what do we do, right? And the other main thing that you've got in the middle game when you want to shake things up is pawn breaks, right? That's where you've got a pawn that's going to move into a position of tension, where it can be taken or it can take and stuff like that. So takes, pawn takes. Now, let the record show my knight is still under attack. Okay, however, I've got like bishop here now, which I did not have before, right? Because the pawn was in the way. So I said, my bishop's not very good, right? He's got all these light squared pawns. Well, let's remove some pawns. Alrighty then, okay? Smoking. All right. Right, knight is still under attack, but now I have rook d8. Check. And I'm threatening this. That could be nasty. That could be terrible. Right, now I have queen d2 check, which will force the king to go here, you see. But, better than that, is the demise of the killer pawn. Ha-ha! My knight is safe. It's all going horribly wrong. Horribly wrong. Yeah. Now I'm 2 pawns up materiologically. However, it feels a lot more than that. Okay, so what do we want to do? I've got right, queen here and say, how about a trade of queens? I've got queen here. And then what prospects does the queen have from there? I think I'm going to go here because what I'm doing is I've got 2 attackers now on this pawn. Queen takes, and I'm in a good position, right? Okay. Oh, haha. You do you? You do. You fancy a piece of that, do you? Okay, so he's got ideas of checkmating me. In it. Nah, blood, no. Right, so I've got, ideas. G5. Sorry, G6 or G5, right? G6 is defended by this guy, and if he wants to push this, I can now push H5. I think that's okay. I'm going to do that. But, you know, good on him for trying it on. Definitely. Look at his pawns, guys. Check this out. 4 pawns, all of them isolated. That means that there's no pawn with another pawn in an adjacent file. And that means that pawns cannot defend each other. And that means that all of these pawns must be defended by pieces, or they will be undefended. Okay, so now I can capture this pawn, either with queen or with knight. Haha, I'm going to capture with a queen. I'd love to capture with a bishop. I'd love to put my bishop there, with attack everything. I could put my rook, not there, but there, right? And then put my bishop here, but that's just a bit complicated and pointless. I'm going to take the queen. Try and exchange queens off. I'm 3 pawns up now. But what's important is, haha. So just throw in a check now. Can't go there, 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 there. Okay. Now I can force an exchange of queens, right? If I go here, he has to take because his queen's undefended there and he's in check too, right? However, I could be fancy, put my queen here and then try and put my rook on that square. Haha! Right, let's try and be fancy. So whatever he does now, as long as his king and his queen are on that same rank, then rook to here could be problematic. Even if he attacks my queen now, so puts one of his rooks on there, right? I can still play my rook here. He's in check, has to move. And he has to move actually onto the back rank. Okay, and now you see he's missed the threat. Rook d2 wins the queen. Oh dear, now the queen is lost and it comes with check. Yeah, it's all over. Good, good, good. Interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. And I think the key bit to me of the game, it was all pretty solid, right? Up until here, okay? Now, yes, his king's moved. However, later on in the middle game, as you get towards the ending, having your king tucked away in safety maybe isn't such of an issue, because you can also fall for back rank attacks, yeah? When the queens are off the board and you are officially in an endgame, then actually your king wants to get towards the center of the board. It wants to activate itself. It becomes one of the most powerful pieces on the board instead of the most vulnerable piece on the board. So having this king out like this is not so bad. And look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and a solo, okay? So his pawns here are not too bad either. So this really is an exercise in the middle game. Now, you noticed I remarked I have a light squared bishop. And look at all these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 light squared pawns, right? That means my bishop can't go there, 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 there. Right? All of these squares where it can't go, never mind these ones, right? So it's a whole swathe of the board that is a minefield for my bishop. It cannot set foot in that area. So we change things up, and this is the key thing about pawn breaks and pawn moves, right? Pawn moves, I really, really want you to think of pawn moves as quite an investment. They are not cheap moves. Pawn moves are not cheap moves. Pawn moves matter, right? And then he comes here, and then I attack the queen. Okay, then he takes, and now look, isolated, which he was before. That's now isolated, and now he's down to 4 here. Right? And now I throw in a check. I've ignored the fact that my knight's still under attack. I've improved my bishop, right? Put it on this square where it's defended and cannot be attacked by any pawns. So this is actually an outpost for my bishop, and I'm slicing through this board now. And the king has to move. And now I check again. Still my knight is under attack. Doesn't matter. King moves again. Check with the queen. King moves again. Destroy the pawn. And look now. Isolated. Then he's got 2. Isolated, isolated. Pawns are just getting worse and worse and worse. Attacks the queen. Propose a trade. Not interested. Okay. Have to defend against checkmate. Propose a trade. Again, not interested. And here I spot the fork from here on king and queen, which my opponent did not spot, right? The pattern is, 2 most important pieces on the board are on the same rank, okay? So if your pieces are ever in line like this, so on the same rank or on the same file or on a diagonal, right, you have to just scan and say, can my opponent attack both of these in one go? And yes, I could have done it with that. But this was a bit sneakier, right? So he's thinking, what's he doing? Is he just defending this pawn? What's he up to? He didn't see the threat of rook to here. Pushes a pawn and loses. Okay, you see how it all falls apart from that point. But the key thing really is the order in which you play these moves. Because I don't know, was I in a winning position at this point in the game? Here? I mean, yeah, I felt good. It definitely felt good. But materially, I've got 2 minor pieces for a rook, but this bishop was bad. So what do? I use a pawn break to try and minimize the deficiencies in my position. I want to improve my bishop. I want to attack his vulnerable king that's in the center of the board. And that's how it works. Okay, there you go. So thank you to my opponent. Very, very good. Couple of good games there, and I hope very interesting and useful for you guys as well. Thank you for watching. Do appreciate you. Appreciate your support. See you soon.